Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hi, I'm still alive, and in today's video I have a couple of DIYs for you. The first one is this skeleton plant stand. I purchased this skeleton from Family Dollar for $10. Now, I was waiting for Dollar Tree to put out some skeletons. They had some last year. They were $5. I would have assumed they upped the price to $7 this year, but I didn't find any. So then I checked 7 Below. Then I checked 5 Below, and they did have some for $7. However, they were not black. I was really looking for a black one, and they weren't as nice of a quality as the ones from Family Dollar. I thought about purchasing them from 5 Below, but the black one from Family Dollar saved me having to buy spray paint and having to just go through the process of spray painting the skeleton. So I purchased it from Family Dollar for $10. Okay, as you just saw, the very first thing that I did to the skeleton was I unscrewed the skeleton's hands and I switched them around. I did actually put them on wrong at first. As you can see, I did end up fixing it later. But I switched the hands so the palms would be facing upwards because I want to put tea light candle holders on his hands. Okay, and then the next thing I did was I cut off the little string from the top of his skull. And then I took these two wooden circles from Hobby Lobby. These were $4.99 a piece, plus they were 40% off. Now, I had originally wanted to glue the smiley faces side down so they were sandwiched together, but I was having an extremely hard time trying to remove the stickers, so I just decided to glue the smiley faces smiley side up. And before I glued the circles together, I measured out where the middle of the circle was and then drilled a hole in the center of both of them. However, if I was to do this project again, I wouldn't drill the hole in the center. I would drill it a little farther to the back because the skeleton is too close to the edge of the top of the table underneath, which I will point out to you towards the end of the DIY. Now, as you just saw, I did use E6000 glue to glue the wood together. I ended up running out of the glue though, so I wasn't as generous with it in this video clip, but I ended up running to the store to get some more because I needed some for the second set of circles. I did actually go back and add more to the first set, but I didn't film me doing that. These circles, again, I purchased from Hobby Lobby in a pack of 6 for $9.99. Again, they were 40% off, and I'm going through the same process as I did with the first set that I glued together. The reason I'm gluing the circles together is because for the base, I wanted it to be more weighted so the table wouldn't tip over, and as for the top, the wood was just too thin. They do have larger, thicker wood circles at Hobby Lobby, and I'm sure at other stores, so you could potentially skip the step of gluing them together if you can find some. All of my surrounding stores were just out of stock. As for the clamps, they're not necessary. If you don't have them, you could just use some heavy weighted objects instead. The next step is to cut a dowel rod down to the size you want for the table. I decided to leave a little bit of a gap on mine because I didn't want it to be too snug, but if for some reason you end up cutting the dowel rod too short, you can always pose the knees on the skeleton by bending them slightly. After that, I drilled a hole in the center of both ends of the dowel rod. I purchased this from Hobby Lobby for $1.99. If you don't want to purchase them from Hobby Lobby, they do have them at Walmart in the craft section. Then I painted the dowel rod with some gloss black paint. Then I took some hot glue and glued the skeleton's elbows in a bent position. I added hot glue to the front and to the back of the elbows. You can use something to prop the elbows up while they dry, or you can do what I did, but it does require some patience. I literally just held the skeleton's arms myself until it was done drying. Then I took some battery-operated tea light candles. I found them at Walmart for $2.97 in the Halloween section for a pack of 4. And I took some Velcro that I already had on hand, but I'm sure you can find some from the Dollar Tree for less than a couple of bucks. They might even have some at Walmart for less than a couple of dollars. But I hot glued one side of the Velcro strips to the skeleton's hands and then just stuck the other to the tea lights, being careful not to cover up the screws so I can easily change the batteries in the future. Now you don't see this on camera, but I screwed the 2 sets of circles to each end of the dowel rod, and then I went in with the gloss paint and did a few coats of the paint. I honestly really should have went in with a top coat so the table would be easier to wipe down in the future. I was going to use gloss Mod Podge, but all I had was matte and I wasn't running to the store again. As you can see here, I'm going in with that same black paint and I'm painting where I had added that hot glue to the skeleton's elbows. And the final step for this DIY is to attach the skeleton. I did that by using some zip ties. I got the zip ties from Walmart on clearance for less than $2. I did attach a couple of the zip ties around his spine and then one at his tailbone, but I don't recommend attaching it around the tailbone because it will keep popping off to the side and it won't stay centered, if that makes any sense. As you can see here, as I mentioned earlier, this is why I wouldn't have drilled the holes in the center because the skeleton is too close to the edge of the top of the table, so I really wish I would have done it a little farther back. And this is the final result. Honestly, this is probably my favorite decor piece that I have ever made. I would love to know what you think about it in the comments down below. Now, I do want to give a little bit of a disclaimer here. This is meant to be a plant stand for a faux plant, and I wouldn't put anything that's too heavy on this. Okay, the next DIY I have is a Pottery Barn dupe. My ghoul Rocks Angel mentioned a while back that this crystal spiderweb from Pottery Barn was on her decor list this year, so I had to go check it out, and when I saw it, I knew that I wanted to try and dupe it. So the first thing I did was I took 3 packing boxes and hammered down 4 nails into the boxes. This is just going to help keep the wire a little tighter while we make the web. Also, as a bonus, one of the packing boxes can be used later to store the spider web. Just keep it flat and tape the ends so it doesn't get all smushed. Now, I'm taking this 22 gauge wire that I purchased from Walmart for $5 from the jewelry making section, and I'm creating a loop and then twisting it down the wire. Then I'm taking a crimp tube, again from the jewelry making section in Walmart for about $3. I'm putting 1 on the wire, followed by a glass bead that I purchased from Hobby Lobby. I think the glass beads were around $3 on sale for a string of them. Then I'm adding another crimp tube and taking my flat nose pliers and pushing them down as hard as I can on the crimp tubes, so that way it keeps the glass beads in place. I did this a few times on this particular wire, and then again I looped it and then I wrapped the wire around itself, and now I'm doing the other side. I'm doing the exact same thing. I'm creating a loop and then wrapping the wire around itself, adding the crimp tubes, adding the glass bead, and yeah. This is basically the whole process of the spider web. Now, I did want to mention that you can draw a spider web outline on the packing boxes before you even begin to do this, so that way you know where you want to put your wire. I kind of just went into this blindly and just went with the flow. Here, I'm connecting another wire to the wire that I already have looped to one of the nails. The trick is to bend the wire as closely as you can to the previous wire before you begin twisting, and again, I added some more crimp tubes and glass beads. Then I'm attaching the end of the wire to the opposite side, and I'm doing the same thing here. I'm doing it as tightly as I can before wrapping the wire around itself. Also, I know I didn't do the best job recording this, I apologize, but hopefully you guys can get the gist of what I'm doing if you plan on recreating this. Now, I'm taking this keychain ring that I purchased from Walmart in the jewelry section, and this is going to be the center of the spider web. This came in a package for like $2 or $3. Honestly, the whole project is pretty simple. It's just creating the outline of the spider web from the wire through the same process by wrapping the wire around itself to secure it in place. Then adding a crimp tube, a glass bead, and then another crimp tube. And then flattening the crimp tubes down with the flat nose pliers. And look, I'm gonna be completely honest, the wire is a little bit flimsy, but as soon as you get it up on the wall, it's not going to matter. And again, like I said before, you can use the packing boxes to store the spider web later to keep it from getting smashed. Now, I did add 2 of the wires to the key ring before I attached it to the rest of the spider web. It was just easier to do it that way. And then from then on out, I added the other lines of the spider web. Then I'm taking some battery operated fairy lights and attaching this to the spider web outline. I did end up using 2 of these because the one I had wasn't quite long enough to cover the entire spider web. I think I got them for around $5 a while back at Dollar General. And you are going to want to work the lights from the center of the spider web outwards. Otherwise, the battery pack will end up in the center of the spider web and you'll have to start over. And I say this because I'm speaking from experience. I started from the outside of the spider web the first time I did this DIY, and I had to completely restart with the lights because the battery pack ended up in the middle of the spider web. And then finally, this is how it turned out. I absolutely love this. The only thing that could make this better is honestly, if it was even larger. I did use some thumbtacks to hang this on the wall. I wish I had a different color of thumbtacks, but it is what it is. Anyways, tell me how you think this turned out, what you would have done differently, or where you could find different supplies. Anything that's helpful is greatly appreciated, not just for me, but for other viewers in the comments down below. Anyways, that is it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I hope to see you guys all next time. Bye!